Hi everybody and welcome to today's webinar on 10 tips for making your company more visible on social media. Today's webinar will be hosted by Chris Kyriacou, who's the Managing Director of social media agency iSocial, based in Mayfair in London. Throughout today's webinar, if you do have any questions, please send them in using the questions pane on the GoToWebinar platform, and we'll put these to Chris at the end of today's webinar. Today's webinar will also be recorded. If you do want a copy of this, please do email us on info@webinarsteam.com. I'll drop that in the chat as well, so you have that from there. Today's webinar will last about 30 to 40 minutes. And so that's all from me, and I'll hand you over to Chris now to go through today's webinar. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the intro, Paul. Thanks guys for joining. So as Paul's just gone through, I'm going to take you through 10 tips for making your company more visible on social media. So just to give you a brief overview of iSocial and my background. So we're a social media marketing agency which provides social media management for startups and SMEs. So we deal with all things social. We're quite passionate about social media. Probably spend a bit too much time on Twitter as well. Guilty, but yeah. So let's get started with a few of our tips. We start off with a brief introduction about social media marketing. So for small to medium-sized businesses, social media marketing has been a really important tool, a cost-effective tool to create brand awareness, provide value to their stakeholders, and really just target a completely new audience on social. So the stats on the right you can see are purely based on the UK. So a lot of these you can really apply to, with the ratios apply to sort of countries across the world. So there's 64 million people in the UK with 57 million active internet users. And 38 million of those have active social media accounts. So just a sheer enormous amount of people on social media. So demonstrating the fact that traditional marketing has changed from offline to more people seeing stuff online through smartphones, social media, Facebook, etc. So if we go on to the contents page, just to give you a brief overview of our 10 tips. If anybody's got any questions throughout the presentation, I'll be answering them. You can submit them through the question pan, and I'll be answering them at the end of the webinar, so feel free to have in mind what you want to ask. We start off with the first point, choosing the right social media channel. So this is really important for businesses and probably the first step to utilizing your social media strategy, because essentially you don't want to appear on social media channels where your target market aren't active on. So we've put together sort of a brief overview of the demographics and general user statistics for each mainstream social media network. So on the left we've got the social media network. In the middle left column we got gender split on that network, and then middle right is the age split on that network, and then on the right hand side we have the active daily users for each social media network. So if we start with Facebook, I mean, it's really important to be on Facebook for pretty much most brands because it appeals to the mass market, and as you can tell there's 1.55 billion users on a monthly basis that tune in and sort of log in and view and post their content on Facebook. So essentially any social media strategy, the core emphasis should be behind starting up a Facebook page basically. We're gonna answer a lot of the questions involved with sort of utilizing that Facebook page in a few of the later points. But yeah, just to emphasize the importance behind using Facebook as a primary social media channel for your marketing strategy, along with Twitter. So Twitter is really great because it appeals to public users. So whereas Facebook you're limited through your security settings, Twitter ensures that sort of all of the content you're producing is available to everyone. So Google have actually now just done a deal with Twitter to ensure that every tweet you post can come up on Google's search engine algorithm. So basically there's all sorts of benefits to using Twitter as a brand to benefit obviously your Google ranking and where your website appears. It's the first or second page, wherever. But in comparison to Facebook, Twitter only has 320 million active users and a more of a age demographic to the sort of 18 to 30-year-old age brackets. So I mean, it's still a new social media tool essentially, but for me, in my personal opinion, my favorite sort of social media network for marketing purposes, just to the fact that you can use it to appeal to public users. So I mean, Instagram has been sort of Twitter's closest competitor of late. So this is basically due to the fact that it's a really user-friendly experience, and the app is just really visually stimulating. So it's probably not ideal to be on Instagram unless you can't produce a timeline that is really engaging and creative. So it's more vital for, say, restaurants, FMCG brands, people that can provide sort of images that make your mouth water, or sort of that look really creative, such as nice sort of backgrounds, environments, fashion brands, etc. do a great job of sort of utilizing Instagram. So they've actually recently just overtaken Twitter with daily active users, taking it to 400 million. And Facebook, they've actually really introduced Twitter Instagram ads, which people are slowly jumping onto, which is a really cost-effective form of advertising compared to sort of other digital marketing tactics. And this is great because obviously it's a new option that can really sort of create extra brand awareness, drive more traffic to your website, etc. Which we'll talk about social media ads in a few other tips later on. Pinterest, for example, Pinterest is if you're a fashion brand, it's essential to be on Pinterest. Basically, your brand was born to be on Pinterest. If you're not a fashion brand or not in retail, it's pretty much you're wasting your time. So even more niche is if you are a 25 to 45-year-old middle-class female, then if you're appealing to this market, then it's essential to be on Pinterest, because these take up most of their demographics, basically. And with only 100 million active Pinterest users, they are a real engaged audience that will spend more time on the platform compared to other social media networks. So and again, a very niche social media network, but it's relevant, especially if you appeal to the fashion industry or have a 25 to 45-year-old female target market. And coming up to with Snapchat, we'll finish off with Snapchat. It's a relatively new channel, one of my personal favorites for everyday use and now for engaging with brands. So Snapchat have actually just had a $11 billion dollar valuation, although they hardly generate much revenue as of yet. They have recently just introduced Snapchat ads, which are fantastic, because they guarantee X amount of impressions for their audience. They have with 100 million active users. They are predominantly 18 to 29-year-olds. So essentially, if you appeal to millennials or teens, it's really essential to be on Snapchat and utilizing Snapchat as a marketing platform. You can really get creative and sort of just have fun with Snapchat. That's the great thing about it. There's no sort of do's and don'ts. It's really pretty much free, essentially. If you're uploading stories, it won't cost you anything. And it just gives users a real insight into the brand and sort of what they're doing on a daily basis in sort of real-time marketing, which is really in context with a lot of trends in 2016. So choosing just to round off, choosing the right social media channel is sort of really important, so you're not wasting your time appealing to the wrong people at the wrong times. So we try to emphasize the importance to select the right social media channel for your brand based on these probably gender and age demographics. So we go on to the next tip. So adding value to your content strategy. So there's so much noise on social media channels, all of them basically. Without differentiating yourself, you're not really sort of adding too much value to your users. So what I try to recommend a lot of clients is to add value to your content strategy by giving users a reason to follow you. So this helps avoid all the noise associated with your newsfeed timeline, because people are following you. You're giving people a reason to follow you. So a good example of this is to provide insightful information relevant to your stakeholders and their friends, essentially, because it's a great sort of form of word of mouth. So what I try to recommend is, say, for one client, we've got a gym brand in West London. We add a lot of value by posting, say, gym routines, exercises, recipes, etc. And not necessarily trying to sell the product all the time. It's really important just to try and add value, and then when you add enough value, then you're positioned to sort of convert and sort of generate a customer. So the great thing about sort of social media is the ability to create exactly what type of content you want for that target market. So a good analogy I like to use is, so if social media is a gun, content is the ammunition. So without content, your social media strategy is pretty non-existent. So it's really important to sit down with your team and know your content strategy specifically to what your target market wants to see. I mean, even ask what your target market, ask them directly when they come into your shop or when you engage with them over email, what they want to see, what type of content they find popular. Just keep it really simple and just find out firsthand what they want to see if you're unsure in early stages. So going to tip number 3. So this is personally my favorite strategy. It's really cost-effective strategy and it works really well. I call it the Twitter/Instagram flush. So it's a great way to organically increase your social media presence by following the followers of your competitors. So there's various tools you can use to do this, which you can see on the right hand side of the page. So this is great because you know for a fact that they already have a common interest in your product or service. So by following them, it creates awareness for your brand, and if they like your brand, they'll follow you back. If they don't, they'll simply just won't follow you. But at the very least, they'll check you out and maybe even go to your website, check out your profile. And if they don't follow you, you can literally unfollow them after 5 business working days to maintain an even followers to following ratio. So that way it doesn't look like you're following way too many people than you should. This is what I call the Twitter flush, because essentially you're flushing out the people that aren't following you back. And it's just a really great way to sort of create brand awareness. So one good example is we work with an online meat brand. So in the early stages we were following all of its competitors to ensure that it creates a bit of brand awareness, because we know for a fact that they've got previous experience buying meat online, so they'd have common interest with buying the same sort of product but from a competitor, and then maybe following up with a discount code to sort of tie them in. So the tools I recommend to do this is for Twitter. We recommend Managed Filter. So it's a really sophisticated way to filter through exactly who you want to follow and unfollow. Additionally, you can also schedule posts, but that's probably not their key feature. Their key feature is unfollowing and following users and measuring keywords. So the following is great because you can filter it down to based on how many followers somebody's got, or you can target someone based on which keywords they've tweeted or what keywords are in their bio. You can follow, say, all bartenders in the UK, for example. So it's a really sophisticated tool that tends to really get a real niche target audience on Twitter. So alternatively, on Instagram, you can use Crowdfire, which is just app-based and now desktop-based, actually. It's a really sort of reliable app on both app and desktop, because it's really user-friendly again also, but this is specifically more for just Instagram. Or you can also do it on Twitter, but the Twitter options aren't as sophisticated as Managed Filter. So I tend to use Managed Filter for Twitter and then Crowdfire for Instagram. So similar to Twitter, you follow the followers of competitors, and if anything, the follow-back ratios are probably slightly better on Instagram. It might be deemed more socially acceptable to follow people on Instagram, because obviously you want people to sort of see your creative images as opposed to Twitter maybe. But yeah, I tend to find that it works better on Instagram compared to Twitter. But yeah, it's a great way to organically increase your brand awareness and drive traffic to your website also. When people click on your profile and they click on your link in your website and your profile, it usually works quite well. So definitely a strategy I recommend for a lot of startups and for a lot of brands that have got a small presence on social media initially, and then after say 5 to 6 months of incorporating this strategy, you really don't need to continue unless you sort of want to keep going, basically. But yeah, literally just 5 minutes a day you just dedicate to following people relevant to your brand on a daily basis, and then end of the week maybe you'll unfollow the ones that don't follow you back. Simple as that, really. So moving on to the fourth tip, so hashtags. So get loads of questions about hashtags on social media, Twitter and Instagram especially. Which hashtag should I be using? Which hashtag is right for my brand? Why should I be using that hashtag, etc. So there's a few stats on the right hand side which we'll go through, and then a few reasons on why you should be using the hashtags and your strategy behind hashtags. So hashtags are sort of a great way to enable businesses to engage with customers through Twitter and Instagram specifically. So we've found that 34% of respondents that use hashtags will use them to follow and search for categories and brands of their own personal interest. So it's in a brand's interest to use hashtags relevant to what they're selling, the specific category, and what potentially their target market might be using around those products. So a great way to further encourage engagement through hashtags is to create your own branded hashtag. So I try to recommend brands to utilize something that communicates their brand, like a USP or a tagline or slogan. So really important not just to use your company name, because that is really boring and essentially identical to your username on Twitter and Instagram. So ideally you want something a bit cool, like some good examples we use is an online meat company we work with called the Marvelous Meat Company. We use hashtag Simply Marvelous. So people tend to use that after a lot of their meat that they tweet in photos of, or we work with martial arts clubs that have we create specific hashtags to say popular phrases in that club. But yes, something that communicates the USP. Just your slogan. So essentially you want to keep it as short and sweet as possible. So I wouldn't recommend using the hashtag that has longer than 4 or 5 words, I'd say. If it's too long, then essentially it's just not going to give you enough space in your caption or your tweet, and it's also just unengaging really, basically. So I mean, tweets with hashtags tend to generate a lot more engagement compared to tweets without hashtags. 1 or 2 hashtags is ideal. Nothing more than 3 hashtags, nothing more than 2 hashtags basically. So hashtags with more than 2, tweets with more than 2 hashtags tend to have a 70% drop in engagement because it just comes across a bit spammy and just really doesn't look great basically. So just try to emphasize the quality over quantity strategy when sort of trying to implement hashtags. Pick a couple that are relevant and just stick to these basically. So there's a couple of websites that will help you measure and track hashtags and to see how well users are engaging with them. So hashtagify.me is really good, and then tagboard.com are great hashtag tracking tools that you can use. There are various, they have various premium offers, so you can use sort of, depending on how many impressions each hashtag will generate, it will give you X amount of impressions for free, and then you'll have to upgrade. So if it's a really popular hashtag, you have to put some budget behind these tools to sort of further broaden your impressions to gather more data basically. So yeah, that's hashtags in a nutshell. I try to stay away from using them on Facebook because Facebook's just really not set up for hashtags because obviously due to people's security settings and personal profiles, it's harder to click on a hashtag and see X amount of people engaging with that hashtag due to these settings. So I tend to just recommend sticking to Twitter and Instagram for now for hashtags really, especially with Instagram. They're a great way to create extra visibility. Going on to real-time content. So this is probably the most important thing to consider when creating your content. So real-time content is usually the most engaging form of content to create and post across social media. So this is usually because it's in context with sociological trends and what people are talking about at any given moment, which is what social media is about basically. So this is really important because it sort of, especially on Twitter, trends will sort of appear on the left-hand side. You can see what conversations people are engaging with, which is a great way to create content around. So based on that, you can sort of assess what your target market are really talking about, what they're engaging with, and then create your content around that to appeal specifically to that, but at the same time adding value to your brand. So try to create real-time content that is ideally trending, and then join the conversation specific to your brand only. So don't just join a trending hashtag for the sake of it or because it's #1 on Twitter. Join it if it's relevant to your target market and if your target market are also engaging with that trend. So tweets around trending topics generate large levels of impressions compared to ordinary tweets. So yeah, literally it's really simple. Just keep an eye on your timeline, what your users are talking about. Essentially, content is king, but context is queen. So it's really important to emphasize listening to your target market and what they're engaging with on a daily basis. So if you can structure your content strategy around real-time content, it would be great. It's obviously really time-consuming compared to alternative options. However, it is obviously more valuable. So we're going to number 6, our 6th tip, Facebook ads. So Facebook ads people think about Facebook ads and think, oh no, I don't want to be spending X amount more of my marketing budget on Facebook ads. I already have enough things to be spending my money on. But essentially, Facebook ads are probably the most cost-effective alternative for reaching your target audience through alternative digital marketing options. This is a great way to really appeal directly to who you want to appeal to. So I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of Facebook brand pages at the minute have their content limited to what Facebook is, to what you're producing. So Facebook do this through their newsfeed algorithm to limit what brands are publishing in order to force them to spend more on Facebook ads. As frustrating as it is a really, it still works as a really cost-effective tool to utilize just once a week. So one tip that we recommend and what we implement with all of our clients is to just once a week boost one of your posts for 24 hours to existing page likes. So everybody that's liked your page, boost your post for just £5 to appeal to all of these page likes. This way you can guarantee that the majority of these likes will see your content. And then as a result of engaging with you from being forced from the Facebook ad to see your content, the next time you post something organically, it will more likely appear in their timeline as a result of playing to Facebook's newsfeed algorithm. So it's something that works really well to ensure that your content is constantly appearing in your target market's newsfeed without spending heaps of your marketing budget, or without using sort of guerrilla marketing tactics, which might necessarily not go down too well, such as clickbaity-ish articles which aren't perceived as great from some demographics. But it's a great way to sort of make sure that your content is consistently appearing in your customers' timeline, and will, in the long term, will benefit your organic impressions and ensure that your organic impressions are maintained at a healthy rate and don't decline, basically. So for the best results, we recommend a lot of clients to just implement once a week. So literally £5 once a week, and then post organically around that twice a week. So it's really not a lot of money, £20 a month, or approximately $35 or in US dollars. So hardly much of shouldn't be much of your marketing budget. If it is, dedicate it to your marketing budget. So I can't emphasize how important this should be for any social media marketing strategy, specifically Facebook, obviously. So there's obviously alternative Facebook ad options which we have on the right. These all depend specifically to your marketing objectives. So don't just use Facebook ads for the sake of it. Use it integrate with your marketing objectives across other channels. So this tactic is essentially the first option to boost your posts. But there are obviously other options if you want to get more app installs or drive traffic to your website, or just if you want page likes or more video views. There's a real variety of options available. So just make sure you know exactly what you want to achieve, and then base your decision around which Facebook ad option you want to use based on that objective. So just really simple, keep things simple. And then what you can do, you can use one or two of these different ads to complement each other. So a good example is using promoting your page, which is second down in the column, along with boosting your post. So when you promote your page, you encourage a lot of people to like your page on Facebook, and essentially by boosting your post, it will you can ensure a specific post will appear to those users as soon as they like your page. So just a good way to say hello, or just to make sure that they see your content straight away. So I mean, I do recommend downloading the Facebook Ads app on your phone. So it's a great way to manage your ads, ad campaigns on the go, as Facebook ads need to be monitored and managed on a daily basis. You really need to be pausing these on sort of key times in the week where people aren't really engaging with your ads, which are maybe Friday and Saturday. People are mostly out on the weekends, and I tend to find engagement at its lowest. So yeah, I definitely recommend installing Facebook ads app on your phone, just to make sure you can monitor and know exactly how your ad is performing on a daily basis, or throughout the day even. Definitely, along with Facebook pages, which I notice a lot of business owners will forget to download. So two separate apps, but essentially they do two different things, which will just help you maximize your marketing strategy. So if we go on to the seventh tip, so emojis. Emojis are, if you don't know what emojis are, they are a small digital image or icon used to express an idea or emotion. So I I love emojis basically. I put emojis everywhere. Maybe I need to grow up a bit, but most of my tweets or messages on WhatsApp or Messenger tend to end up in emojis. So as you can tell in the first point, hands in front of monkey face is my favorite emoji. So I kind of use an excuse to whack out this emoji. It's quite sad really, but that's me really. But so if you didn't know, the word emoji is Japanese for picture character. So emojis have been growing sort of, everybody's now using them, from my little brother to my grandma. So 50% of comments on Instagram now contain emojis. So it's a great way to make your content appear more personal, to communicate without having to use too much text. Their simplicity allows you to save space in your posts, which is especially helpful on Twitter, where you are limited to 140 characters. So essentially using emojis can communicate exactly what you want to communicate without having to spend loads of time trying to think of ways of shortening your tweet to fit into the 140 characters. Just literally use a couple of emojis. Simple as that. McDonald's done a fantastic integrated marketing campaign at the back end of 2015 where they implemented emojis on billboards with no words whatsoever. It just literally communicated their product with just emojis. I thought it was brilliant, and obviously integrated through social media. It's just so in context with exactly who they wanted to appeal to. Yeah, I tend to recommend using emojis. Not obviously every post, but say the posts that are relevant. So it usually encourages engagement, with leading to 50% increase in likes or a 33% increase in comments or shares. So if you're using a MacBook, you can get up your emoji sort of options by pressing Control, Command, and the spacebar. This will come up with all your emojis that you will have access to on your smartphone. That's if you're posting through a desktop, that is. So really quick, you can literally come up with your recent emojis to use and your most favorite ones. So it's just really sort of easy way to sort of implement emojis into your content basically. So yeah, it just also adds a bit of colour to your timeline as well. If you're just posting text, it can get a bit boring. It's nice to mix it up with a few crying face emojis, especially if you're telling a joke, or if you're posting a really good, if you're a restaurant, you post a really mouth-watering image. Love heart eye emojis is perfect. So we go into video content. So video content has been of growing popularity across all social media, which Facebook have recently recognized by introducing autoplay videos in your timeline, and now video counts, which has recently surpassed YouTube's monthly video views, which is massive because YouTube was seen as the sort of the Justin Bieber of video content, if you like. So it's the same strategy that Instagram have now implemented with looping videos and view counts also, very similar to Vine. So obviously these social media networks are recognizing the importance of video content, which is resulting in Facebook now actually will show your content to your users more so if it's video content. So it will generate more impressions for your content if it's a video compared to if it's just a normal article or photo. So it's really easy to create your own videos. It doesn't need to be super professional. Everybody's got a smartphone these days, and most smartphones are more than capable of creating great video content that is of good quality. So I mean, if you've got a professional camera and have got the tools to your disposal to create great video content, then fantastic. But if you're a small business owner, then your smartphone is more than good enough to get the job done. So I try to recommend clients to create shorter clips, because they tend to be more engaging. Clips tend to span from 5 to 30 seconds long. So this is obviously a lot better to keep your sort of audience engaged. Anything longer will be a bit boring. People tend to click off after the first 10 seconds. They might even be put off by the length of the video before even clicking on it. So keep it short and snappy to maintain high levels of engagement on your social media channels. Like I said previously, you can apply real-time marketing tactics to this in the form of video content. So stuff like where you go about your business, providing really insightful perspective into your business and your daily activities, which is probably why Snapchat has been so popular in the last 6 months, I'd say. Over 75% of Facebook users are posting on Facebook now. So it's demonstrating the fact that it's a form of content that users do want to see and do want to engage with, and literally a video just shows, communicates a lot more than just a standard photo, especially if you get it done right. Definitely, if you can implement a video content for your general content strategy, just do it. Do it as much as possible. As I can't emphasize this enough, basically. Create as much video content as you physically can, basically, but obviously still relevant. Don't just create it for the sake of it. Create it if it's something, ask yourself, do my customers genuinely want to see this video content? Or just ask one of your team members to get their input, their thoughts on it, etc. beforehand. Or you can test it. But you can test what your audience want to see from the first few clips. If you find they're not engaging with it, just mix it up. Just create more different varieties of video content, or even just ask them what they want to see on your social media channels. So yeah, that's video content in a nutshell. We've gone to the 9th point. So keyword monitoring is a really underrated tool that I feel a lot of businesses aren't really utilizing on Twitter. So this is specifically just for Twitter. It's a great way to target potential customers by monitoring keywords on Twitter. So you can do this by simply typing keywords in your Twitter search function in the top right-hand corner of when you log into Twitter. So I'll go through these steps on the right-hand side in a second. So it's what I tend to recommend clients, especially local businesses, is to find potential customers through keywords that they might potentially be engaging with. So one example is an Italian restaurant we work with in London. So what we do, we monitor the keywords Italian restaurant London in the live tab in the top right hand corner on Twitter. By searching these keywords, we can see in real time what users on Twitter have searched for, and if they're sort of asking questions around these keywords. So what we find a lot on Twitter is people will tend to ask their friends if they know any good Italian restaurants in London, or if they know any good, they will recommend any local gyms. And this is a great way to sort of join the conversation and jump on that potential conversion, to just sort of just drop a line saying, oh yes, right, us basically. Or there's two approaches you can have. So there's one approach is to be completely non-salesy and to just start a conversation with them about anything relevant to what they're talking about. Or the second option is to kind of be a bit salesy. Because you show that you've been socially listening, it kind of gives you the right to come across as a bit salesy. So what I recommend is just literally saying, if you're a restaurant, for example, check out our reviews on TripAdvisor. We'd love to have you come down to visit. Would you like me to book you in for a table for two, what have you? And what we find is most users will reply to this because they love the fact that a brand has tweeted them, and they love the fact that someone cares about what they're saying. So it's just, again, it's being really simple, really social. As ironic as it sounds, it's really important to come across as social and real on social media, as opposed to a company that just doesn't have anything to do with their potential stakeholders whatsoever. So I mean, no matter, this can apply to a lot of businesses really. Just a lot of products, a lot of services, type in relevant keywords and see your potential customers engaging with those keywords through the timeline. What I do recommend is the tab at the top. If you look at step 2 underneath Italian restaurant London, you have various options of looking at tweets around these keywords. So the most relevant one is obviously the live tab. So this essentially sees everybody that has viewed those keywords in real-time, in chronological order, basically. So depending on how popular these keywords are, you might want to monitor it weekly or 3 times a week. It's worth doing some research on those keywords to see how frequently users are tweeting, essentially. So it could be, if they're tweeting, say, 6 or 7 times a day with these keywords, you probably want to monitor it on every other day. Otherwise, if you find 7 or 8 relevant tweets over the course of a week, then it's probably only worth monitoring once a week. So it's definitely a strategy that is worth implementing. It doesn't take really long. It just takes maybe 5-10 minutes to literally scroll through the search tool, and then literally just directly tweeting and engaging with these. As I said, it's a great strategy to show that as a brand you are socially listening. And what I find in my experience is a lot of customers or potential customers love it, and it's a great way to form a relationship based on this. and it doesn't cost you anything, just time basically. So we'll go on to the 10th and final point. So blogging. So blogging is a great way to direct traffic to your website from social media, and as well as keeping your website active and allowing stakeholders to engage with your brand, it is a great form of content to share across social media. So blogging really goes hand in hand with your social media strategy, and again ties into creating relevant content. So this will complement your SEO ranking, your search engine optimization and strategy. So how high you appear in Google. Basically, Google's page rank algorithm loves consistent, new, fresh content being published on your website, and naturally ranks your website higher on Google. So it's a real cost-effective alternative to spending loads on Google AdWords, which costs thousands of pounds or dollars. It's just literally dedicate some time to blog on a weekly basis. We've put together some key ingredients for a successful blog plan on the right-hand side. So as you can see, we recommend, depending on how big your team is, creating a Google Drive spreadsheet that can be mutually collaborated on. So a blog plan that has suggested titles, maybe with input from all team members or just yourself or the marketing team, so that you can sort of agree on which might be good ideas, which might not, and essentially just manage it from there. You can set up columns, etc., with deadlines, categories, etc. But the most important ingredients to consider is to keep your blog posts to, I'd say 350 to at the very max 700 words. Ideally 600. Ideally a blog post should be around 500 words, I'd say. Not too long, not too short. So long enough to sort of add enough value to the reader and communicate what you're trying to say, but not too long so that it bores your reader and essentially just gets put off from reading the article and clicks away from the page completely. So what's really important is to include sort of professional images to break down this text also. It's really important to not steal random images off Google. So what I tend to recommend is just use your own images from taking photos essentially. Or if you don't have that option, literally just purchase these photos professionally from Shutterstock, which will give you, which have a wide library of professional images to choose from. But in the best case scenario, try to take as many photos as you can for your own specific and relevant to your own brand as possible. Add that personal touch, along with 3 to 5 backlinks, which is essential for SEO purposes. So try and link some references you might include back to its original source. Google loves the fact that well-trusted websites are bouncing to and from each other, and sort of the most important thing is to just create value for your audience through blogging. It allows you to communicate a lot more than you can from just social media posts, and it's just a great form of content to share across social media as an extension of your post. So BuzzFeed, as an example, have developed a platform where advertisers spend thousands for space on their website just based on how successful their blogging strategy has been. So some good examples of ways that they do this is using tips, so creating list formats, so 6 reasons why you should be doing this, 5 benefits of doing this. One good example is we work with a client that sells online Excel training. We created a blog post that had 7 things Miley Cyrus and Microsoft Excel had in common. So just for fun, I mean, it went viral on social media in literally a few hours. We got over 2,000 shares. People loved it because at the same time it was adding value to the brand and communicating some USPs behind Microsoft Excel that the users didn't necessarily know beforehand. And at the same time, Miley Cyrus was really popular in the news, so it was in context of real-time marketing. So try to sort of incorporate your blogging strategy around sort of what people are talking about, and just try and add value to your readers, basically, your target market in a nutshell. So I guess that's a blogging strategy, pretty summed up. If you've got any questions, now's your time to drop them in the question pan. You can also, Paul will be sending out a link to download this white paper at the end, so you can have it for your own records. The first point is quite useful for a lot of brands that are trying to assess basic demographics and which target market is relevant for which social media network. So I do recommend downloading it to have a look at the first slide if we go back to it. this one here. It's a great way to look at sort of the existing statistics on each channel. It's really, I literally only put this together this month, so it's really relevant. It'll probably change in about a month's time, just social media is constantly growing, but it's definitely worthwhile taking a look at in more depth after this also, along with obviously the other tips, of course. So yeah, thank you for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Yeah, so just a couple of questions coming up. Unfortunately, we can't answer everyone's questions today, but if you do have any more questions, you can send these in to us at info@webinarsteam.com, and we'll try and get those answered for you. First one for you, Chris, is, so I was asking about, I was talking about uploading video content. Someone says, what about podcasting clips? Any programs you recommend?
Podcasts are great because essentially people listen to them where they obviously don't have the opportunity to watch videos, so like on the tube or traveling to work. So if your audience is really used to, I tend to find the younger age demographic don't really engage with podcasts. I think this is just purely because they tend to be a lot longer than a lot of other forms of content they're producing. But if you appeal to a demographic that is slightly older, say middle age, anything from 30, 35 plus, I find this is an audience that really loves podcasts because it is a lot longer form of content, and it is a content that doesn't necessarily need an internet connection. Also, they can just download it and listen to it on their phone on the underground or when they don't necessarily have Wi-Fi. So podcasts are great for this option, and it just is an alternative form of content to be creating, especially depending on your brand. It's just a great way to sort of communicate maybe weekly trends, or without having to sort of spend the time putting together loads of articles. It's just, you can sit there and whack out a podcast or two with a couple of your team members. So I think I hope that answered your question. But yeah.
Yes, next question for you, Chris, is on your emojis. And they've asked, how can you find the small emojis on Facebook? So the ones they supply are quite limited. Can you add to these?
So I personally don't like the Facebook emojis because, like you said, they are limited, and some of them just aren't really relevant. So what I tend to recommend is just literally posting emojis straight from your phone or straight from your laptop using the control command spacebar. That way it gets up the same emojis that you might be using on your phone if you're posting from, say, your desktop. So, and that way it's more in context with what the emojis that people are using on standard text messages or WhatsApp messages. So Facebook emojis tend to be completely different. They've tried to create their own emojis, but I don't think it's really worked because they're not really globally used as much as, say, the emojis on smartphones. So I tend to recommend, just sticking to smartphone emojis because they're sort of more globally accepted, if you like, and they're sort of more mainstream. People can know exactly which emoji to use, and I just personally don't even like the look of some of the Facebook emojis, basically.
Okay, Chris, and just one more question, so we've got time for, I'm afraid. But it's quite a general one from Jo, and she asks, can you tell me any more about Instagram ads?
So Instagram ads are relatively new, so that people have experienced a lot of problems with Instagram ads because the demographics aren't as specific as Facebook ads. Because basically, when you register as an Instagram user, there's only one or two questions there's only one or two demographics that they ask for, such as gender. I think that's it really. So literally, it doesn't give you much options to appeal to a specific audience. What I mean by a specific audience is exactly their age, gender, background, job title, what other interests they like. So at the minute, Facebook have just linked it directly to their Facebook ad. Instagram have linked their Instagram ads to Facebook ads, which isn't ideal because essentially it's a completely different social media channel and needs to be treated completely differently. So at the minute, I don't like Instagram ads for that reason, but I do believe it is something Facebook are looking at changing. So, I mean, I wouldn't look to use Instagram ads unless you are actually a restaurant or fashion brand yet. So, try to stay away from Instagram ads until Facebook actually fixes this issue. I do know it's something they're looking at doing in the sort of near future, because what will also be really popular is appealing to the followers of fellow accounts on Instagram, which you can't currently do at the minute. So that will be really interesting for brands to really appeal to competitors' followers. So, I mean, Instagram ads are really, they're done through Facebook ads and are as cost effective as Facebook ads. But like I said, you are limited now, because Facebook is still Instagram, or Facebook is Instagram, but Instagram is still trying to experiment on how to really narrow down the targeting, as it's still early days. But if you've got more questions on Instagram ads, I will happily answer them if you drop me a line after this webinar. But thank you for the questions, been great questions. Thank you for tuning in as well. Any other questions, feel free to drop me a line after this. If you download you can download this afterwards, obviously, for all references you might want to refer to with your social media strategy. I hope it was helpful, and like I said, feel free to drop me a line whenever you want. Basically, my email address will be in the email after this. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and see you later.
Thanks again, Chris, and yeah, thanks everyone for attending today's webinar. As Chris says, there will be an email will go out in the next 24 to 48 hours. That will also have a link to the recording, so if you have missed anything, you'll be able to check that out. The link is up in the chat to download Chris's white paper, but again, you'll be able to access that from the website with the recording as well. Please do check out the webinars page, and hope to see some more of you at our future webinars. Okay, thanks very much everyone, and have a nice day or evening wherever you are.